Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. I am today joined by the incredible country star, Jessica Lynne Witty. Jessica, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Sam. Thanks for the what a great intro. That was awesome. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. I just have to say, I kind of discovered your music very recently, especially with your new album, which we'll talk about a bit later. I just
Hmm.
have to tell you, the album is up there with one of my favorites this year. It is such an incredible album.
Thank you. Awesome. That's so nice to hear. When did you hear about me?
So I heard about you about I think about a month ago. I think I saw you do an interview or a chat with Voice of Women on Instagram,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
that's where I kind of caught you. And I listened to some of your music, and
That's
it just
awesome.
hooked me.
Yay. Thank you. Okay, cool. Yeah, Voice of a Woman, they're very supportive of us female artists. Very nice.
Yeah, no, it's really refreshing to see. It's really nice. As I said, I'm a big country music fan, so it's really nice to see like people being given sort of a step in a direct in a positive way for people and not like industry supported.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's an uphill battle trying to make it, quote unquote, as an
Mhm.
indie artist, because what does that even mean, right? But
Yeah.
but it can be an uphill battle because you're getting in the way of the record labels, and they don't necessarily want you there. So it can be
Hmm.
pretty harsh. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to start, if that was okay, with sort of pretty early for you, your earliest memory. If you could sort of tell us about the earliest memory of music for you, whether it was something you listened to or something you played, or if you grew up with music.
Hmm. Oh, always music going in my house. My mom my mom would listen to some of the softer adult contemporary, I think you would call it. So she loved the Carpenters, Roger
Yeah.
Whittaker, Jim Reeves, all the crooners. And
Yeah.
and so I mean, I don't think there's a Carpenter song out there I don't know all the words to. So I grew up with that kind of softer side of pop music. And then my dad would listen to Kingston Trio, and the only stuff like that. And we listen to like the Everly Brothers, and a little bit more rock and roll, but from the 50s, 60s. The Beach Boys, that was a big one. That's the first time I really remember loving the music myself and not just having been, given listening in. Um, my very first CD I bought was Mariah Carey's Vision of Love.
Okay.
That was the
Yes.
first
I'm
CD I
familiar.
bought. But I do remember as a kid, even as like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, I didn't exactly write a full song, but I would always, I would have there'd be an English song and I'd write Danish lyrics to it because I grew up in Denmark. And
Yeah.
or there'd be a Danish song, I'd write English. So I've always been writing lyrics to existing melodies. It wasn't until a little bit later that I started actually writing my own melodies as well, and figuring out how to do that.
That's brilliant. So as you said before, that's something that I find very interesting, especially with your story, is that you're actually from Denmark.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about sort of, so when did you sort of move over to the United States?
I moved in 2010. So I lived most of my life in Europe, in
Hmm.
Copenhagen. I lived a stint in Barcelona, um, and traveled a bit. I went to India. So I've
Wow.
done quite a few things before I decided I'm going to go for this. So before 2010, I didn't really do a lot of music. It was like I didn't do anything professionally. I've written a song or two, but nobody ever heard it. Um, Total couch songwriter. That's yeah.
Yeah.
So in 2010, I decided, you know what? If I don't go for it now, I never will. And so I just up and left. I had 2 suitcases and I moved to the States.
I
Now
couldn't even
I
imagine.
have dual citizenship because my dad's American. So that part was easier. I know it can be really,
Okay.
really hard to immigrate from Europe to the US. But it was still, it was a clean slate, and I had nothing. So I had to, start by finding a day job and doing all the stuff and finding a place to live. And yeah, it was, but all of that went pretty smoothly. So it's one of those like encouragements to say, okay, well, I'm on the right track. This is what I'm going to be doing. And so now it's been 11 years. Yeah.
Wow.
of doing this every day.
I was gonna say, because I could just completely imagine. Again, this could just be me. Like, I've never been to Denmark, so I have to admit, but I just feel like the lifestyle differences between Denmark and the US must be like totally different.
Culture shock. Yes, absolutely, it is. It's even between the UK and Denmark, it's different. But I mean, it's night and day over here, and we're still in the Western world. It's like, it's not like we all have internet, we all have iPhones and stuff like that. But just I sometimes still to this day, when people mention something, I get this like look, because I don't know what they're talking about, because I didn't grow up here.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I can completely understand. So did you used to so when did you sort of first discover country music?
This was before internet, so I'm dating myself here. Back in the 90s. So like I said, my first CD I bought was Mariah Carey. So that's kind of the style of music that I was into before I got introduced to country music. But we were in a little town, and they would sometimes put channels in the cable package to say, do you guys want this one or not? And once they had CMT, and I listened to that, and I just fell in love with country music. And then they took the channel away again. So it was like, darn it. So I had to, I would go down to my TV and radio store, which we also had those in the day. And import. I would actually have to tell them, get anything by this artist, this artist, this artist. And it was almost triple the price for any of these CDs, because that you can get them there, and they have to import them from the States, and it took forever. And I'd be stopping by on my way home from school going, do you get my stuff yet? And I was about 12, 13 when I first learned about it, this new country, as it was called back then. Yes. Because my mom would listen to Patsy Cline and I knew who Johnny Cash and Dolly Parton were. Like, those were kind of the big ones that we knew about over there. But so that was like my first taste of country music. And then when I came to the States to visit my dad, he would drop us off at the mall, and my sisters would go straight for the clothes, and I'd go straight for the record store. So I would be shopping, and I'd put as many CDs and cassette tapes and whatever I'd bought like in my suitcase and brought it home, because that was my one chance of getting it at normal price, and just like getting introduced to new music. And I would make my dad put it on the country radio channel in the car, So yeah, it was an ordeal being interested in country music.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's even
not so bad,
similar
right?
here. I mean, it's a lot better. Like there's radio stations now which are just dedicated to country, especially like the newer school stuff. So that's really cool. I mean, my problem is that I'm still a little bit like, I can't get out of the CD and vinyl kind of phase. So importing these albums, it doesn't come cheap, especially when you hear, especially on these like groups in the States, and they and I'm paying like 4 times the price.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. I just actually, I mean, I'm creating a vinyl of my new album now, as you know. But I never had a record player, like not even as a kid. I never owned a record player. And because I was just at the out phase of that part of music. And so it was CDs and cassette tapes mostly. And So we just bought one for Christmas, my husband and I, and we've been listening to old vinyl like the last weekend while we're decorating and stuff. It was so fun. It's such a different way of listening to music because you can't just skip a song if you don't like it, you know.
Exactly.
Well, you can, but it's an ordeal. You don't want to. So yeah, it's really fun. It's been really fun to kind of get into that. It's a different experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's you know, I wasn't really in the vinyl phase per se. It was just more my grandparents would have records playing all the time, and then my mum would have records, and I just kind of, I grew up with that, not thinking that's what everyone did. But obviously, my generation, it was CDs at the time and MP3s now and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
but
exactly.
I love it.
And I find so many people who, you know, they'll buy my CD, but they don't have anywhere to play it. They just, you know, because the cars don't even have CD players anymore. And so the vinyl record player that I bought also plays CDs. So now I know I can always listen to my music however I want. So, but I think it's cool how vinyl has kind of come back and yeah, it's a really cool way. It's almost like, I mean, I'm looking at the artists behind you. It's like everybody needs to have at least a vinyl version of everything they do. And I mean, that was not the case 5 years ago. You know,
exactly.
It's cool how it's really come back. So
yeah, definitely. I'm seeing that a lot now. It's a lot of artists even have vinyl options and no CD options at all. I imagine at a cost, like it costs a lot, I imagine, to produce them. And if people aren't really interested now in ordering them, it's a bit of a pain, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot better ways to order vinyl now than there was like 5 years ago, because I looked into it for one of my other albums and I was like, oh heck no. It was like a minimum of a $250 run, and they're, you know, $10-15 a piece to produce. I mean, just do the math. That's a lot of money to put into something. And I don't know if I can even sell 250 vinyls, you know. It's like
it's a niche market even still.
It is. I mean, there are a lot of people who just love it. And then the rest are kind of like, yeah, take it or leave it, you know. But those 10% or whatever that still want vinyl, I want to make it for them. So I found other ways of creating smaller runs. So there's like smaller quantities and it still stays well within the margin that it needs to be. But that's also why vinyl is so expensive, because they really do cost to press, cut, press, whatever.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And as we said, as you mentioned before, I've noticed, especially with your new album, Take the Lead, that's up on vinyl. So I'll make sure to leave that in the top link in the description in case anyone wants to go and check it out.
Yes, and the vinyl, you can still order the vinyl. And I put my order in, but there's extras so you guys can still order. Yeah.
Fantastic. So going on to sort of especially your website page, as well as some sort of articles that are written about yourself with your voice or your music. I just wanted to kind of read a couple of comments that have been made about you, and just sort of if you could just tell us how it makes you feel when you hear industry recognized people tell you this. So obviously there's the Family Reunion Country said Dusty Springfield with a twang.
Yeah. I think that was in regards to my very, very first single called Singin' Country, which has a very 70s groove to it. And it's funny because that, I mean, I love that comment. I love Dusty Springfield. So I was like, that is perfect. I think that vibe of music has kind of come back, or maybe it's here now, because it definitely wasn't when I put it out in 2011. It was kind of like, yeah, that's a little dated, you know, but now it's retro. So that song has actually gotten more spins lately because people are picking it back up, which is kind of fun to see that music can be timeless, you know.
It can be. I think, especially I feel with country music, I think it's every type of, every song or style of song that, as you've said, might have a phase, it always ends up coming back round. It doesn't matter what year it was made or how old it is. It's beautiful. There's another one from Independent Music Promotions, said Pure Country Gold.
Yeah, that's I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's one more which I completely agree with, and I think it's a really sort of a great comment. It's from Three Chord Country. I think it was referring to your song, which is on your Take the Lead album, It Made Me Me. Let's say Jessica has a tremendous power and control in her voice, and she showcases it beautifully in her songs and sings it in a way that will talk about country classics for a decade to come.
Ooh. Wow, that is absolutely beautiful. Those kind of reviews just makes me want to keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you get good feedback, it's not why I do it. You know, I do music because I can't do anything else. But when you get that kind of feedback, especially from industry professionals, but also from fans, from people listening to the music, it makes me feel good and makes me feel like I'm doing it for more than just me. Like, I love doing this, but other people are actually enjoying it too, and that means a lot. That it's just very reaffirming.
Yeah, like I said, it's you know, I've listened to your album, I've listened to your previous albums as well, and there is something about your music that I just find so captivating in
Really?
every song, and honestly, it's every song tells its own story, and especially with your new album, I feel like there's songs you kind of go through different emotions with each song.
Yeah.
So if we could just talk about Take the Lead, which got released
Sure.
a couple weeks ago.
Yep. Actually, it's a month ago today. Yesterday. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Time flies. Oh, yes. Brand new album. Full album. 12 songs plus some bonus tracks. Yes. It's
So what was the story about the album, and maybe how you came up with the idea of certain songs, or have you had songs in your library for a while, or if you could just tell us about how it sort of came to be.
Well, I'm gonna blame COVID on this one, because when COVID hit, I've spent much more time in my career playing live shows than I have creating music. So I don't have a very extensive repertoire earlier than 2020. And then I started loosening up a little bit on you know, I instead of doing a big project and going to Nashville and having 6 songs in a session, I would just go in and buy one. You know, so with COVID, I then also realized, well, that's possibly the only thing I can do right now. I can't play live music. I can go live streams, you know, but they people don't value them the same way as being in the same room as you. And I'm not sure why, but I can see it. I can see that. So my biggest thing was, oh wait, well, I'm just going to go to back and forth to Nashville because we could travel and just record a bunch of songs. And so in 2020, I put out three songs, I think. And then, but in that time, I was recording a lot more. And then in 2021, we decided, because we didn't know how long this was going to last, right? And in December of 2020, it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. So, and it still doesn't. But so in 2021, we decided, and when I say we, it's like me and my team, and we talk about this stuff. And we decided to put out a song every month, just see how that goes. And in the first half of the year, it went smooth, and I had a video for each song. It was really fun. As soon as summer hit, and I was actually also playing live shows, I could not keep up with the videos. But we did put out the songs. So 12 songs in 12 months. And we did the last one we just put out 3 days ago was the Christmas song, and now I'm done for the year. Like, woo! So all those songs from 2020 going into this year, and I did a couple of acoustic versions of songs too that didn't make it on this album, but a lot of, like, a whole bunch of these songs ended up on Take the Lead. And it's called Take the Lead because the first song on the album, Dance with the Devil, the hook is, if you're going to dance with the devil, you might as well take the lead. And so that's where I took like the title of the album and put in there. And I didn't even write that song. That was my guitarist wrote that song, and with another person. And he, I heard it once on one of his live streams, and I was like, I want that song. I want to record that song. And he was super excited. So that's been really, really fun. It's the first time I've actually cut a song. Like, I cut somebody else's. So that was really, really cool.
It is such a great album. Like I said, funnily enough, Dance with the Devil is a song up there for me. I love Bad Idea as well. And of course, Beer Run is another great song. It's Beer Run's a funny song for me because it sounds like you sing it so beautifully, but then when I hear some of the lyrics, it's kind of got like a message to it. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, sure. So, the premise of Beer Run is, it sounds like it'll be a party song, right? But it's not. Yeah. The premise of that one is he went on a beer run and never came home. And that's the story we're sticking to, right? So it's a little bit, there's a little funny tongue-in-cheek kind of feel to it, but it's kind of serious, right? It's because he was abusing her. And so the reason why I feel like I can write that song is because I have been in an abusive relationship. And I've been on the side of things. I never planned on killing anyone, to be clear. I'm just not that brave. But when you're in an abusive relationship like that, you can, like, I would often just kind of think, oh, if he just went away, because you feel so trapped. And that's pretty much what that's about. It's and then, of course, to make it true to the severity of the problem, proceeds from that song, anytime I sell an album, vinyl, anything, or that song gets streamed, portions of it go to domestic, to families who suffer from domestic abuse. So and get them back on their feet. So I have a charity that I donate to whenever that song gets played.
I didn't even know that, and that's such an incredible thing for you to do. That's something that you don't have to do, but I think it's amazing for yourself, who you can go through such a horrific ordeal, and you can put it so incredibly in a song, and then you do that. I think that's such an incredible thing.
Oh, thank you. It makes sense to do it in this song. I did it with another song as well, Wildfire, because we're so plagued by wildfires up here in Washington State and many other places in the States, of course. And because the song was called Wildfire, I was like, that makes sense to have it, because it's talking about being like a wildfire, and just to pay respect to the devastation of a wildfire, I figured it would be good to donate some to charity there as well. So that goes to the Red Cross Wildfire Relief. Yep. Wow. So I like doing that with songs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. It's great.
Yeah, I find the charities that make sense to me and that I love and that touch my heart, and I go for it. So
beautiful. I read as well something that you also started a foundation called Diamond in the Dust.
Yes. So Diamonds in the Dust is another. Diamond in the Dust is a song of mine, and it's all about following your dreams, taking a leap, making a change, no matter what it takes, even if you're a little scared. And I wanted to pay forward to other women who are passionate about something and want to make a difference and want to follow their dreams. And it doesn't have to be music, it could be anything. The first year we had a children's storyteller win the grand prize. And then the last year it was Rochelle Henry, who's a budding actress, and she just scored her big co-star role in a Netflix movie, by the way, which is kind of cool.
That's
Hope
cool.
make that happen. So Diamonds in the Dust is all about supporting women, and all you have to be is 17 and older, identify as a woman, and be able to explain what you're passionate about. So that's like very, very low criteria. So we give out a scholarship of $500 every year, and then another scholarship of $100. It's not a lot, but we're doing it, by ourselves. We do take donations as well. But yeah, so that's what we're doing with Diamonds in the Dust. And applications are still open for this year. We'll announce in January. So yeah.
Wow. Is there like a link that I could put in the description to get people to follow?
Yeah, diamondsinthedustfoundation.com.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I add it. Yeah, beautiful.
Sure.
That's brilliant. Like I said, it's I definitely could see for women as well, and it's so hard to, for people, not just in music, but as you said, in whether it's acting or whether it's writing, it's so hard for people to get that break in their industry, and for you to start a foundation to help people is, it's such a special thing. It's something that, again, you don't have to do it, and you're really trying to kind of push people into the paths that they want to follow.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my passion. It really is. I mean, if I do it through my music, that's great, because we all have a song, that either changed our life or made us see something differently. And if I can help do that with my music, that's awesome. But I can help do it in other ways too. So that's what that foundation is all about.
Fantastic. Make sure you all go and check it out. It'll be in the link in the description below. Something that as well we touched on briefly, which about COVID. How did you cope through COVID, and how was it for you? I feel like it's important for maybe people listening to know how their, artists that they might listen to, how they kind of coped with it.
Well, I created a bar in my living room, and then
wow.
Yeah, that's how I coped. There we go. No, that's not wow I coped, but I did actually create a bar in my living room because it was fun to go live from there, and people were like, "What bar are you in? I thought they were all closed." And
is that the bar you do your lives in?
Yeah, that's part of where I do.
Oh,
yeah,
that looks incredible. I've seen it.
Thanks. I do it like I do the Caffeine and Country once a month or so, and then every Thursday afternoon I go live from the bar, and we sit and make drinks and talk happy hour talk. So we've been doing that since COVID. So getting something like that, some online stuff going has been tremendous. How did I cope through COVID? It was rough. I will say it was rough. But recording music definitely helped me through it. Like writing a lot, recording my music, creating music videos for them, doing it that way, and then not being so distracted by all the live shows. It really helped me go in and evaluate like who I was and who I am and how do I want to make music, because I'm going to make music no matter what the world looks like, but so how does this change it? Well, it changes it a lot, but I also realized through COVID how vulnerable my revenue structure is, because it all took was one day and everything was gone, and everything I worked so hard for. And so that was pretty brutal. And it helped me realize that I do need to see if I need to set up other streams of revenue other than just live shows, because it's too vulnerable.
Exactly. And I think it's when I was reading, I mean, I've been blessed in a lot of ways that my, during the COVID, I was able to still maintain my work. And I feel, although at the time I was like, why can't I just stay at home? But you know, thinking
Yeah.
about it now, it's when I read stories about how many people have been hit hard, it's, you know, it's devastating to hear that stuff. But I'm really
Yeah, it's
happy that
pretty
you know,
hard.
you found other ways.
Yeah. Well, and you know, I haven't cracked that yet. So
Yeah.
I'm not making, like, my revenue streams are very skewed. I still make most of my money from live streams. So there's still some work to be done in that aspect, but it just made me aware, and
Yeah.
also made me aware that the part of about music that I love the most, I wasn't doing very much. The
Hmm.
recording part, like the writing songs and recording them and creating musical soundscapes and putting them out to the world, and that was my favorite part, and I wasn't doing it. So, you know, there was a lot of introspection happening during COVID. I think that's true for everybody. It
Yeah,
made us really think
absolutely.
about our lives and how we're living them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, you can you mentioned sort of briefly before that you can realize how one minute everything sort of seems okay, and then the next minute it's gone, and you
Yeah,
realize like, wow, like I need to do something about this.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
as well, and I've spoke to people previously before on the show, and they've all said that it was, you know, doing a lot of self-reflecting, and they've really decided or figured what it is they know they want to do with their life and that they've got to pursue.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I also took the time to change my name. So there's that.
Yes, I
I
did
was
notice that.
Jessica
Yeah.
Lynne before, and I added Witty, which is my real name.
Hmm.
But there's too much industry confusion and other Jessica Lynne's, and it was too much. So
Oh, really?
having, yeah, that's why I did it. Um, so having that time to make that change was a godsend, because it would have been brutal to do that in the middle of a season, you
I was
know,
gonna
but
say
because there
because
was
that,
no season, I could do
yeah,
it.
because I feel like changing your name in as an artist, it can't just be as simple as just changing it. There must be a lot of
No,
processes you have to go
my
through.
God. Well, and Spotify and Apple Music and all these places, at least those two, they don't want you to change. They won't let you. So I had to be in
Oh.
negotiations directly with Spotify and Apple Music to let them know what my dilemma was and make sure that they would actually go in and change the name on my music
Hmm.
and make sure that the fans followed over and the listener, like the followers followed over. And it was an ordeal. I'm telling you. Wow. So, you know, it's not just, I mean, it was easy enough to create a new logo and, you know, change my email address and change my website. That was easy enough. It was the whole streaming platform that was really hard to get through. But I finally did, and everything worked out fine. So
Perfect. I was gonna say it's just I just can't even imagine. I mean, I would have thought. I feel like you as the artist, it should be as straightforward as changing it, but
yeah.
I can't believe that how much of an ordeal, you know, these streaming platforms can make of it.
Yeah, and I think because I mean, not if everybody just changed their artist name all the time, that'd be kind of harsh on the platforms. I could imagine that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for someone who's in a professional dilemma like I was, like, they've got to cut, you know, got to cut people some slack. But I mean, they were very, very hard to deal with. So,
Mhm.
not surprisingly, I mean, they have bigger things to worry about than little old me, you know. So I'm not surprised. I just don't think it's the best customer service.
Yeah, so as you said, I think it's because they're such big, some of the biggest companies in the
They're
world, and I think
giants.
it's there has to be processes, I suppose.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly.
I'm
And
just thankful you
you
don't
know,
have to go through it again. Hopefully, another Jessica
oh
Lynne Witty
God,
doesn't turn up.
no, never, please.
um,
No, I really hope so, because that was harsh. That was harsh.
so if we could go back to, as you said, before COVID times
Mhm.
and with touring, um, how do you have any particular places that you really enjoyed touring or visiting the most?
Anywhere I've never been.
Mhm.
I really love, like, if we're on the road and I get into a part of the country that I've never been to, I get all
Yeah.
excited, and I mark it. I'm all like, "We're I have never been here before." All my band members wake up. I'm like, "What?" So I really, really, really enjoy touring new places because I get to see new places and see the world. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm going on tour with Chris Jones. We did the Redneck Highway song earlier this year,
Yes.
and I'm going on tour with him in the spring. And we're going to drive
Brilliant.
down through California, where I've been, and then off. And as soon as we get into New Mexico, I'm out where I've never been before. So we're going to do the South route and over to Florida because that's where our anchor gig is. So I'm excited for that because I've never been anywhere like, any of those places.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love going places I've never been before. That's probably my favorite part. I can't even think of, because I can't pick. I do remember feeling really, really fondly about St. Louis when I went through there. It's a really beautiful town and just had a really good vibe to it.
Yeah, isn't St. Louis is quite I could be completely wrong. But I feel like I remember people before saying that St. Louis is quite like a place to go for music.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I didn't have enough time there to actually go even listen to music, but
Hmm.
um yeah, I'd like to visit again because I didn't spend enough time there, but I had just a really good vibe. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's enough, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any moments that sort of stick in your head for when you've performed? So have there been any moments that, whether they were funny or sort of endearing, do you have any moments in the past that stick out in your head?
I've got plenty of those. All right, can I mention two? Because
Absolutely.
they're always involving children. Children are the best.
Hmm.
This little girl came up and asked if she could come up and sing with me down in Oregon at the Klamath County Fair.
Yeah.
And I believe her name was JL. And or Jalen or something like that. Anyway, she came up and sang Jolene with me. And there's a little snippet on TikTok, and
Oh,
it
bless.
was just adorable. And she brought her entire family over to meet me afterwards, and they were there every day. And she was just like, I know what it's like to be that little girl, and to be able to bring her up on stage and give her that moment with me, it was super adorable, and it was just super cool. Um, just made my heart flutter. So that was the one incident, super cute. The other one, I
Mhm.
actually have a reminder up here in a frame. I don't know if you can see it, but her name was Dorothy, and I was playing music at the airport in SeaTac.
Okay.
So they had, I'd be there for 4 hours with me and my guitar, so got a little
Mhm.
monotonous sometimes. And a little girl came up and she was just staring at me, and she said, I sing too. And I was like, what do you sing? It's like, well, I sang the national anthem for my school. And I was like, how cool. And then I asked her if she wanted to sing it here. And she was like, oh, and she came up. You got to be careful with that because you got to feel that they're actually into it without
Yeah,
embarrassing
yeah.
them. And she came up and she sang it on key, beautiful voice. And I was just like, what? Made the whole airport stop. It was so cool.
Mhm.
And then she was just so happy. And we talked a little bit and she wandered off. She came back and put this little note in
Oh, bless.
my tip jar and it says, you inspire me, heart, Dorothy. P.S. You made me more confident.
Wow.
There you go. If that's not the reason for doing this, I don't know what is.
That's, like you said, I think it's so beautiful when you see like sort of when you have those moments with children, because you know that that's going to influence them when they get older. And I imagine when they get older, they're going to talk about those moments that you allowed them to sing or with them. I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that people did it for me when I was younger, but I
Hmm.
actually remember the ones who didn't. And that's the harder
Oh,
part, right?
yeah.
Because you kind of remember being rejected or not or just, just that not being encouraged to just be yourself and flutter like a butterfly. So I definitely don't want to be that person. I want to be the person that invites them up and gives them a good experience. And, or we might have future singers there, we might not, who cares? If they had a wonderful, confident moment, the job is done.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. It's confidence building, and it's not, I kind of wish a lot more people would do that. As you said, I think there's a lot of, maybe not as a person, but I think with concerts and things, there could be like politics involved as well and things. And but I definitely think, as you said, whether they become artists or not, that confidence is going to shoot them to do whatever they want to achieve in life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just planting little seeds, and then it's up to them what they do with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Couldn't put it better myself.
I'm a poet.
If we could talk about your Christmas single called I'm Home and It's Christmas Time. What was the inspiration to do a Christmas single?
Actually, this song was inspired by Linda Conway, Voice of a Woman.
Yes.
She had challenged last year. She challenged everybody in her network to write a song about Christmas and family. And I remember I'd just gotten home from Nashville the night before, and I woke up with a migraine, which is just my body saying, "You're too tired, go back to bed." And instead I got up because the song started rolling in my head, and I was like, I sat right here in this office for a couple hours and just finished it. And then I went back to bed. But I started playing it for Christmas last year, just live, and tweaked a couple of little things. But really what it's about is, the slightly dysfunctional family unit that we all have. Sorry, excuse me. Earlier. In one way or another, we all have that dysfunctional family unit. And it's just like taking that very lightly and loving people anyway, and just knowing that, well, we're going to sit down at this cramped table and there's not enough room for anybody, and the kids are running around like crazy, but it's all love. So that's kind of what that song is about. And I put it out very acoustically, very quiet song on purpose, because it didn't need a lot. It's just guitar and slide and me. So yeah. And I had my guitarist Lyle Ronglin playing guitar on it. And turned out really well. I like it.
It did. It's turned out fantastic. And I think you're right. I think keeping it as it is with just some guitar, you're singing, keeping it soft, I suppose, it fits a song beautifully.
Thanks.
Was writing a Christmas song ever something on your agenda?
Oh yeah. I mean, I wanted to write the next White Christmas, or the next All I Want for Christmas Is You, because we, as songwriters, we all know that if you write that one Christmas hit, you're set for life.
Yes.
And maybe, I don't know if that's true anymore, but at least it's something. It can't hurt, right? You put out an album, and then time goes by, and then you have to put out something new because people, that's from that time, right? A Christmas song comes again year after year after year. And so yes, always been on my on my radar to write a Christmas song. I wrote another one this year that I haven't actually even performed live or anything, because I'm still working on piano, so still working on the piano parts. I'm not great at piano, but I can play. I just need to put the work in. And I'm married to a piano player, so most of the time I just make him play. But I'm that's going to be my Christmas single next year. So I'm in the mood now where at least I want to put out a single every year for Christmas. And at some point I may put out like a whole album where I cover some of the, traditional ones and stuff. Yeah. But so far that's my little plan.
I look forward to the Christmas single next year. I think this year it kind of came out of nowhere, I feel. But like I said, there seems to be quite a few singles this year for Christmas, but I don't feel like you have many sort of country ones, I suppose. So I really like the idea that we're getting more Christmas songs out, and it's a great song. I love it.
Thank you so much.
I just have a couple more questions. If that's okay.
Of course.
First one will be whether it could be music or not. Who would you say that inspires you?
Whether it be music or not. Question. Wow, I usually have like snappy answers. This one I'm thinking. Okay, I've always been very inspired by Kenny Chesney because I feel like he has a really good grip on the money part of this stuff. And also just like he's taken control of his career and his world and he's created such a crowd around him that are all a certain type of people. Like he's very specific with his so I still very, very much look up to his way of doing things, the way that he puts out music, the way that he has the No Shoes Radio crowd, and the way that No Shoes Nation and all that stuff. And so yeah, I'd say he's been very inspiring the whole way through. But it's one of the ones that I look at from afar, and look at how he's doing things. So it's very inspiring. I'd say for everything else, it'd be Dolly.
Of course.
Dolly Parton is a big inspiration, and not so much. I love her music. I mean, she's a brilliant songwriter. But her personality, the way that she answers questions, the way that how sassy she is. I mean, I'll sit and watch interviews with Dolly Parton all day long. She's so inspiring.
Yeah, you could. She's one of the only people you could sit there all day and just watch talk.
Because she never says what you think she's going to say, know?
Yeah, I think she has to be up there for a lot of people. I think she really paved the way for a lot of female artists, and I can only imagine what she must have gone through at that time where she started to break through the scene. It must have been so incredibly difficult for her. So yeah, you need to get her a statue somewhere.
I know. We can put it right in my front yard. It'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. She's definitely, I mean, and she's inspired in so many ways because she's not only inspired female artists, but also a lot of drag queens and a lot of people who are different to just be different, right? Like she says about the way she looks and dresses and it's a choice. I choose to be this way. I choose to look this way. So joke's on you guys,
That's it, exactly. It's just about be who you want to be and not to be what society or other people sort of want you to be.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fantastic. Again, I imagine it might come in quite similar to that question, but if there's somebody in the music industry you could work with, who would it be?
Actually, that's a different question. Now this going back to the time when CMT was running on that channel and the 90s callback, and I started getting all these CDs and all these, I would always look at who wrote the song. If a song really touches me, I'd look at who wrote the song. And a lot of the songs that really rocked my world weren't even singles. They were just fillers on albums. Because back in the day, you had 2 singles from an album and you got all these songs, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd flip it, and it always said Burr, Burr. And I did the research, and that's Gary Burr. And I had the opportunity to actually meet with him and have coffee with him. And my Catch Me If You Can album, the first one from Nashville that I recorded in Nashville, he actually listened to the songs and gave me feedback on the first ones. And I was over the moon. And then later I've had the opportunity to open for him and his lovely wife, Georgia, who remembers me every time. He never remembers me. It's really funny. I mean, can you imagine how many people they meet? I'm not offended at all. So I'd say a ride with those two would be amazing. Like that is my favorite. Like that's still on my bucket list.
Absolutely. We're gonna have to get that to happen sometime.
I'm sure it will at some point, but there's a hierarchy here. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
I suppose the final question would be, what are your plans or goals for 2022? So
Yeah.
let's say that COVID's not really a factor in this.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna play my butt off live, that's for sure. Which I'm gonna do anyway, because even this year I did get to play a lot of shows, and I might have driven really far to some of them because there was nothing on the way. But you know, that's how we came across this year, was that we just had really weird sporadic dates everywhere that didn't make any sense. So hopefully it'll just make more sense in 2022. But first off, I'm off to Florida in March and February, March, and playing the Florida Strawberry Festival, which is a big festival in Plant City. And then lots of new recordings. So it was a little much to put out a song every month this year. So we're gonna dial it back to a song every other month next year. So I definitely have some music that's gonna come out. Chris and I are gonna finish what we started with Redneck Highway, and it's gonna turn into, we're gonna put out at least an EP of the Redneck Files, which is what we call ourselves when we're playing together. And I have some singles that are already recorded and ready to go, and they're going to come out in 22. And then I have plans to make an acoustic album that is going to be not online. It's only going to be available in my store. So that's the idea. We're trying different things to see, you know, how can we create some more interesting merchandise options and things that aren't available just for free. You know, I mean, just create some things that are more oh, did you know, like she has this on her store or whatever. So that's kind of the plan. It's no big album releases or anything, but I think that EP with Chris is going to be really, really fun. A lot of party songs.
Fantastic.
So
absolutely. Whether it be in Europe, whether it be in the States, like one of my goals, I have to go and see you perform live.
Yes. Well, we still have plans to come to the UK, which COVID botched thoroughly. I was actually going to go in May of 2020, but that never happened. So then I was going to go in May of 2021, and they started closing things down again. And we were just going to start planning for 2022, and things started closing down again. So we're like, no, we're going to wait.
No, absolutely. I get it. I mean, especially over here at the moment. We don't know from one day to the next what's going on with COVID and stuff. So
exactly, I had friends that had tours planned in the spring for Europe, and they were just canceling them, and on the artists. So they were like, "What?" So yeah, we'll see. It's definitely when it's gonna happen. We're gonna do it, because I've got so many friends through COVID over there that I really want to go, and I've never even been to the UK. So that's also see, a place I've never been. It's on my bucket list for sure.
I cannot wait. I can't wait for that day where you announce that you're doing a UK tour, and that'll be it.
No, it'll be
straight
great.
Away booked. Well, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. You know, I know it's I've taken up quite a lot of your time. I do apologize for that.
Oh no, this is good. I had this hour set aside for you, so you're good.
Fantastic. I'll leave all the description in the description. I will leave all the links to all the different bits and pieces, whether it be your store, your foundation. There's a Patreon as well, I believe.
Yes, there is.
I'll leave the link down there. Thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam. This was a great interview. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you.